Hello and good morning. Thank you for joining. I'm just going to wait for a few minutes to see if some other guys come on board. Just going to get this all combed through and ready for everyone. Aha, perfect. We have some people already here. Hi Daniel, thank you for joining. I see you once again. Hi Dominique, hi guys. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to just wait a few minutes, just let a few more people jump on board. For any of you guys that don't know me, my name is Jon. I'm the Global Education Manager at Elgon. And today we're going to be doing the haircut for one of our iconic looks from Tech Romance, Orchid Shine. Last week we went through the color technique and we worked with a beautiful palette of highlight, working 3 different veils of colors, building out the shape. And today we're going to bring the whole thing alive through the haircut. So I'm going to just show you the original picture, just to do a bit of a recap. Here it is. This is a shape. I absolutely love it. It's really a reinterpretation of the mullet. And what I really love about this is that, there's this beautiful roundness to it. There's this almost kind of slight page boy feel to it. And then you've got this really square edge, this disconnected edge through the back. I really want to play with that and really enhance it. In terms of the color palette, what we've done is we've worked with the highlights. We worked with different veils of color. The primary color was the highlight pastel filter. This was used as a diluter to soften the others. And what we did was we worked building out the colors. So through the underneath area, we worked with rings of color. Through the underneath, we worked with primarily wild orchid with the pastel filter. And we went a bit stronger with the wild orchid to create this really cool, hi George, thank you for joining. This really cool, it's not quite ultraviolet, but this really beautiful iridescent violet. Then through the middle band, we worked through again with wild orchid, the highlight pastel, and we just added a little bit of the aquamarine, which is this slightly bluey, the name kind of says it all. And what that's done is it's created this really beautiful steely colour through the mid band. You can't really see it through the fringe because it's all clipped away, but as we work with the shape, we should start exposing it. And then through the surface, we worked with the pastel and a tiny bit of the wild orchid and a tiny bit of the aquamarine to just neutralise it a little bit. In the original picture, we kept the top a little bit whiter. We kept it more neutral, but I just thought, it's a collection, it's inspirational, so that's really the cornerstone. And then what I wanted to do was really expand on it and evolve it and put my own stamp on it. So through the top, I just went a little bit stronger. So yes, it's whiter, but it's more of a kind of like a grey white. For me, I think it just looks really cool. So that was really the colour palette. What we did was we prepped the hair with sublimia, just to really create a beautiful base for me to work on, because the hair itself, it's a little dry, it's a little porous, so I really want to bring out the shine. And we just finished off with a little bit of the infusion, the Supreme Brilliance, really for the shine factor, to really give this the wow. So let's crack on with the haircut. What we've done with the sectioning pattern on this is we've worked similar principle to the colour. So we've worked with a circular section once again through the crown area. We've then isolated the sides, so we've taken above the ear up into the low recession, isolated this front area. This is going to form the disconnected rounded shape through here. And then we've created just a light zigzag just through this area here. And this is going to extend and become part of the fringe. So the first thing I'm going to do is work through the underneath area. And fingers crossed we don't go too crazy with this. So we're going to keep it dead simple. We're going to work with the natural fall. I'm going to just tilt the head over a little. Just pull her back so you guys can see. There we go, just bring that back. And we're going to work quite square, because if you look at the picture, the shape isn't particularly rounded on the edge. It's almost slightly triangular. So that's really the feeling and the effect we want to take on with the shape. So we're going to keep it slightly triangular, and then we're going to work through the layers. So similar principle to what I was saying to you guys before. You know, I tend to work on one side first and then move on to the other. By doing that, what it does is it helps me keep the precision as best as possible because I'm not constantly changing my body positioning as I'm working. Hi guys, it's so great to have you all here. It's always very interesting. We have so many different time zones and different nationalities here. It's fantastic. So we're going to work with a slightly diagonal forward section like you would with any traditional one length shape. Because of course, as I've explained before, you know, when you're creating a square line on a round object, so the head is a round object, if the sections are kept horizontal, the shape is ultimately going to round, and we don't want that. We want to direct the weight. So the angle that you take your section, that's going to help drive the weight to where you want it to be. I want to drive the weight to behind the ears, so that's going to be the focus. So we're going to work through, just comb that down, keeping the fingers square, so pointing over towards the wall. And I'm not going to blunt it, I'm not going to cut this super blunt. I'm going to keep this quite soft. Just work with the points of the blades. Because even though it's square, you know, we still want to, keep it a little bit softer. I'm going to take that up a touch more. And I really love this shape because it's a really nice reinterpretation. You know, it's really, with tech romance, there was a real 70s vibe to it. And, you know, I think with everything that's happening in the world at the moment, with the lockdown and, you know, the quarantine and, you know, there's a lot of doom and gloom. So I think tech romance is just fantastic because what it's really, the whole concept behind it is really like a form of escapism and playing with creativity and really exploiting that creativity. You know, working, you know, Zoe did a beautiful job of the colour work for this collection. You know, playing with this idea of opposing colours and colours that, you know, seamlessly melt but yet contradict, which I just think is really fantastic. And the effect you get is this like really amazing, you know, you see these like subtle veils of colour working through. So, you know, as I'm combing the hair, you can see the colours beginning to pop out in here. It's absolutely exquisite. So just bringing that down, keeping the fingers pointing towards the wall and working with the points. And I have to be so careful not to keep this too blunt. That's always my temptation when I'm working. Over-directing back, look at the amount of, you know, I'm working in a whole finger's depth here, so there is going to be graduation. This is not a problem because I want the shape to still be softer, and we can work a little bit further with the graduation later on once you've dried it. So just working through, still keeping it square. I'm going to just check the shape, just bring the head up. Yeah, we've got a lovely square outline, and you can see I'm not rounding up, I'm not rounding down, still keeping that beautiful and square. So let's just tilt the head forward again. And we're just going to work on those last few sections through this back area here. Fantastic. Just bring that down. Just keep that a little bit cleaner. It's a bit messy. There we go. So, I guess you guys have probably already seen it. If you're following us on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, you will see that we've actually we've just launched internationally the next part of our collection, Gentle Energy. We're going to be bringing that to you live very, very soon. I'm so excited. It really is a fantastic evolution from, you know, where we were with Tech Romance. We launched Tech Romance in January. Really for the spring segment of the collection, and yeah, you know, Gentle Energy is all really about, you know, rebirth and rejuvenation and just simplistic beauty. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Really beautiful. But you know, for now, yeah, as we saw, the pastels are such a huge trend, and it's been a trend for a pretty long time. So you know, I think it's still so relevant now. It's definitely not a trend that's going to disappear anytime soon. All right, let's just have a look at this shape. Let's see what's going on. So I'm quite liking how it's sitting. I love the fact that it's not too, you know, it's not too blunt. There is still some weight in here, but there's this really fabulous. Look at that, fantastic. There's this wonderful triangular shape, and when we start playing with the layers, that's going to really open it up and really expose what's happening on the inside. Okay, let's move on to the other side. Exactly the same principle. I'm going to work the guide through the middle. So we're going to tilt her head down. Just going to turn her so I can see what I'm doing. And we're just going to work through here. And what do you guys think of the colour? Do you like it? You see like how these colours are working through here? What do you think? Do feel free, by the way, to drop any questions into the comments. I will answer as best as I can as I see them. But if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them into the comments, and I will answer them at the end of the session. Okay, same principle. I am going to just wet the hair down again. I'm going to work again with the DD Cream. It's an amazing leave-in conditioner. It's not heavy, it's not greasy, but it's beautiful. Really, for wetting the hair down when you're cutting, it's fantastic. Okay, let's just work back through. This is always a little bit challenging because I'm a lefty. Fingers are still pointing towards the wall. I have to be super careful with the rest of my hand. I'm going in from the underneath, keeping it very soft as I'm working, and just connecting that back through the center. Hi, Doreen. It's so funny, I was actually with the guys this morning since 9 a.m. local time, launching some of the new courses to the global market. So, our family across the world are able to offer our clients even more support. Certainly, with everything that's happening at the moment, there's definitely a big focus on getting everything prepared for the salon. All right, let's just work through here. I'm always going back through the center, right? Just comb the top away quite loosely. And I'm working in like bricks, so I'm allowing the side to drop away, and just gives me more control as I'm working. Drop that away and move on to the next. Keeping it square, and I do have to be very careful with this side because I'm a lefty. This does sometimes tend to be my weakest side, so I need to just execute with a little more discipline. It'd be amazing if we could be ambidextrous, right? It would be fantastic. No, we're not like that by nature. All right, now just moving into the next section. Same principle, diagonal forwards, working in a one length, bringing that down, starting through the center. Just check the guide. And of course, once you finish this, the outline, we need to work on the interior of the shape. On the interior, this is really where the magic is going to happen, because if we cut this as more as a traditional one length shape, even if it's triangular, it's going to look really bobby, and it's not a bob, it's a reinterpretation on a mallet. So we have to be super, super careful with what we do with the layering process. And of course, because we're working on a mannequin, we may even need to adapt the shape slightly. So, depending on how it's working, for example, through the fringe area, the hair with the way it's been woven in, it's really thick. So it does mean I need to work a little more with my elevation or with my layering technique. So we're just going to mist that down. I'll just bring that down. And I'm loving how this colour is starting to come alive. As the hair's starting to dry, I love it. I love the fact that the root is just that little stronger, and then it's going into this really beautiful milky violet through the midlands and the ends. It works really beautifully. Okay, back through the center, and let's just dust off that extra length. And I'm being quite aggressive with it. But you know, I'm still leaving these little bumps, and that's also dead important, because if I go in and just club cut that, is when the head comes up, you're going to have a really blunt, like a layer on the top, and very soft underneath, and it would just look like a very badly cut bob, and that's definitely not what we're aiming for. Same principle, combing down from the root, ignoring the outline, fingers pointing towards the wall, and go in and take off that corner, like so. There we go, just drop that away. Same again here, just bring that all back, keeping it square. There's a bit of excess there, but I'm not worried about that. And I'm paying particular attention to these corners here, just not to start rounding. Always the temptation is to start rounding the shape up, and we really don't want to be doing that. Okay, let's have a look at the shape. See what it's doing. All right, it's always very brave doing a shape like this live. You don't want the elements against you. Okay, so we've just got a little bit on that side there. Now, even though I'm checking the shape, you know, and I always say this when I'm doing any form of cutting training, you know, sometimes, when I trained, I was always so obsessed with more technical balance rather than visual balance. And I guess as the time has gone on, and I've come to learn, of course, technical balance is so important. But the thing is, you can cut something that is absolutely technically perfect, something that is totally technically balanced, and then visually, it doesn't work. You know, sometimes we have to play with what we have, and we have to work optically, and you'll always find that a visual balance always looks better than a technical balance, because that's what people will see. That's what people will judge your work on, you know? How does the shape look to you guys? Do we like it? It's quite interesting. I love this. This is cool, eh? A really nice angle on that. All right, so now let's move on into the layering. So can you see at the moment, we're starting to get a bit of a bob line going on here. We've got this, you know, got this beautiful shape. It's rounding into the head. But the thing is really what we want to do is create flatness. It almost needs to look a little bit rectangular. We want to move away from it being so rounded and sitting in kind of flatter to the head. So now what we need to do is we need to, you know, work with a bit of a layering technique through the back. Layering doesn't create volume at all. It only creates volume optically through styling. So if you're blow drying it, you know, graduation, the building up of weight, that's going to create more organic volume on the hair. By layering, really what we're doing is we're just displacing the weight. We're moving the weight to a different area. So for example, at the moment, the reason why this is rounding and looks like a bob is because all the weight is sitting across this panel here. What I need to do is create flatness. In order for me to create flatness, I need to cut off this whole corner through here so it sits in more flush to the head shape. So there's a few ways we can do it. You know, we can go slightly more rounded, but then it will sit flatter, but it will still be rounded. Or we could go slightly more square or slightly more inverted. Going more inverted is going to create a flatter shape. Going square will also create a flatter shape, but it's still, that length is still going to be rounded. So we're going to work with an inversion. I'll start through the center back. I'm going to turn her this way. Beautiful. And just for the sake of demonstration, but it is something I always used to do when I was training, is clip the side out the way that you're not cutting, so you can just forget about it. So just clip that from the underneath. Let's just ignore that hair there. There we go, just keep the discipline. I'm going to clip from underneath. I'm also going to clip from above. Nice and close. There we go. So we totally ignore that section. Then what I can now do is start focusing on the rest of the section, on the rest of it. So we're going to just tilt the head forward just a little. just to give me some control. The hair's already starting to dry, so we're going to just mist the DD cream back through it again. Okay, and here we're going to start our layering. Now, if I'm not really 100% sure with layers, I always like to just play it a little bit on the safe side. So if you look, this is the length, this is cool, so whatever we do, we don't cut that, we leave that as it is. And you see this here? This is the roundness that we really don't want. I'm actually going to turn that because it's going to be a little easier.
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Oh, fantastic. Looks like Siri's interacting with me as well, and she doesn't have an answer for my layering. Alright, so let's have a little look. Let's see what we're going to do here. I think we're going to work with an inversion. We're going to bring it up. We're going to cut off that corner here. I'm just going to work with the points of the blades, because remember, the shape is super transient. This is tech romance, so you know we don't want the shapes to be super strong. I'm going to bring that up, round off that corner, drop it away so you can see how short that layer is. We've taken it in quite a bit. Drop that down. Yeah, great. And we've got, I don't know if you can see this, but we've already got some of the flatness beginning to happen through the back. Now what we want to do, and we have to be dead careful, what we want to do now, because it's very short through the underneath and the back, but we still need to keep that weight and the squareness through here. So what we will do is we're going to over direct straight back into that section that I've just cut. What that will do is it's going to help create the flatness through the ridge, and then it's going to start tucking in. It's going to start sitting into the head shape, so it creates this beautiful point in the back of the head. So I'm going to take my section slightly diagonal forward, like so. I'm going to go through. If any hair drops away, it's cool. I'm really not worried about it. It's totally okay. Bring that up, like so, and let's cut off that corner. Drop it away. And you can see already the hair naturally wants to start going forward. Just comb it down. Perfect. Same again on the next section. Bring that through, diagonal forward, go through, combing it all back to the profile, straight up. And look at that, get rid of that corner. You know, that hair just doesn't need to be there. It doesn't serve a purpose with the shape. Of course, if we were doing, you know, more of a bob line structure, it would be perfect. Okay, let's just comb it down. I always comb down my sections before I proceed any further. This enables me to just have a little bit of control when I'm working with the hair. I don't know if you guys can see this already on camera, but you can see we're starting to get that beautiful, that head hugging effect through the back of the shape. Okay, now moving on to the final section. Just going to go through, making sure we don't touch the front because the front is disconnected. I'm going to go through, bring that up, bring it over. You see I've lost my discipline a little bit here. Bring that up, over, and let's cut off that corner. It's very hot. Any of you guys in Europe watching this right now, I hope you've got a nice glass of something. I mean, it is after 12 o'clock after all. And you're sitting in front of an air conditioner because, my God, it's very warm. So I believe it's 27 degrees right now here. Oh, yeah, it's very toasty. And for you guys in Asia, you're probably thinking, that's nothing compared to what we have. All right, so let's have a look at this shape. I'm going to just turn this around and hopefully you can see a bit of a difference of the shape. Look, you see you've got these beautiful layers. They just tuck and just caress the head shape. And if I just turn the head, you can see here that beautiful movement on the interior. If I do the other side, it's also, you know, quite nice, but look at how it's sitting. It really, look at all that weight and all that length. It's just not doing anything for this shape at the moment. And you know, by taking in these layers a bit shorter, you can do something really cool with the interior of the shape. So Of course, for this, it's been styled, very flat with the flick, and there's a contradiction in the form. But you could do some really, really cool things with this shape. I really love it. All right, so now let's move on to the other side. Same principle as before. This side, what I've done, I've pulled. This side, I'm going to push. And everything still comes back into the center. So, just going to tilt our head forward a little bit. And let's get rid of this. Just going to wet this down. I think with the heat, it's not good for their hair. It's drying out very, very fast. And if anyone has just joined, thank you very much for joining our Facebook Live. This is our 4th one now. We're now coming to the end of Tech Romance, which is part of the Elgon collection, Generating Uniqueness. It's all about the celebration of individuality and the celebration of our craft and our art. Really celebrating what is unique about the client sitting in front of us in the chair, and how even us, as stylists and educators and how unique we are, how we approach things and how we think about things. And in January we launched Tech Romance. Tech Romance was the segment of the collection for the spring, and it's really all based on this idea of something that's very romantic, very beautiful, very, very soft. The color work is super, super iridescent. The cuts are extremely transient. So the forms, the structures, the haircuts themselves, they've got quite a solid base to them. So very clear within the sectioning and the angles, but the haircut itself is still kept quite transient. So, strong shape, but a transient effect of it. So really the shape is doing a lot of the work for us. And of course there is a focus on styling, but it's not mega groomed. It's really, working with what we've got, embracing that, letting the color and the cut do the talking. Okay, so here we are, just removing that last corner. Just drop that away. Just check this shape. Cool. I don't know if you can see it already, but look, we've still kept the length, but we've got that beautiful flatness. And this is actually a really, very nice way of working with a bob. Something I do a lot. And can you see, even though we've worked with a layer, because we're working with the head shape, there is this really cool, can you see there's just that beautiful bevel on the ridge of the head. So if you see, it kind of bevels, sits in at the occipital and then flat through the perimeter. So it creates a really, really, a bit of an unusual shape. I absolutely love it. Okay, so that is now the back section done. I'm just going to do a little cross check, just make sure that the haircut's not doing anything strange, which it isn't, so that's good. And I'm now going to work through the front area. So we're just going to clip this away just for a bit of control. The back is disconnected from the front, so be very careful not to try and connect it, which is always the natural thing to do. So we've just crossed over the clips through the back, and now we're going to work on the sides. All right. So if you look at the photo, can you see here? So we've got the edge. We've got the perimeter through here. Now we're going to create this beautiful roundness. And if you look, there's a bit of disconnection going on here. So we're going to work totally visually with this, leaving just a little bit of length through here. I am going to check it once I've dried it, because maybe I might need to work a little more with the lengths. I always prefer to leave it a touch on the longer side than being too aggressive with it, Thank you, Doreen. I love this haircut. I think it's really amazing. I can't take any credit for creating this. The original haircut was created by Marco Girotti. He's a fantastic global artist. He's collaborated with us for a few years now. He did a wonderful job with this collection. And I think it really shows we've matured so much creatively, over the years. And I think what I particularly love about this is really the evolution with the colour and with the cut. I think it's absolutely exquisite. All right, so we're going to just start by keeping it a touch longer. You can see we've got a little bit of a mark on her face. Going to just working T to the section, so almost like a graduation technique, and bang, going to take off that corner. Drop it away. Let's just have a look, see how she's doing. Cool, I think we're good. I'm going to tilt the head a little bit, just to give me some control. What I'm also going to do, just to make my life a little easier, because sometimes, when we're working with disconnection, it can be very easy for us to, you can get lost, and that is very dangerous. When you're working with disconnection, there is nothing more dangerous than, you're starting your sections, you're disconnecting, and then you lose your discipline. This is something that, you really want to avoid at all costs. So, where possible, keep your discipline, keep your control when you're working. We're going to go back through, again, T to the section, fingers kind of pointing down, and taking off that corner. Back through. Okay, let's comb it down just to see what it's doing. Cool, there's quite a nice little curve. I may need to take it a bit shorter, but this is, I'm not panicking too much right now. Always prefer to be a little bit on the safe side. Let's just go back and I'm going to be a touch aggressive. Okay, that should be better. You always have to be so careful, right? When we're working with mannequins, particularly these, if you ever had it where you've cut the side and you've gone just a bit too short, and then you end up with this like a little mushroom on the side of the head. It just looks terrible. Definitely no mushroom hair here. That's definitely not what we want to be doing today. Okay, let's just bring that forward. Just keep the discipline as best as possible. There we go. And back through. Same principle, following T to the section, dropping it down. And you can see I've got a bit of excess through here that I need to remove. There we go. Let's get rid of that. I'm really loving, how this colour is starting to shape up, and I think, when we start drying it and let the shape organically dry, I think there's going to be something really beautiful happening here, All right, let's bring her head up. Great, so we've got a gorgeous, gorgeous little curve going on here. We have Elisa here, one of my colleagues in the head office. Thanks for joining, Elisa. All right, so we've got this beautiful corner going on here. I'm going to just take a little piece from the back just to check. Great, so you can see we've got the square, we've got the curve. Looking at the photo, I think we can still play, more through here, but I would rather be on the safe side, because what we will do is we're going to work with an internal layering technique through the front, and what that's going to do is it's going to create some flatness. What we really want to avoid at all costs, again, like with the back, we want to avoid it looking too bob-like. The shape still needs to have the flatness to it. And if you look at the moment, can you see how the shape's sitting in? It's sitting in quite rounded through here, and we want to avoid that. We want this to sit in a bit flatter to the head shape. So we're going to go through and round away that outline. However, that being said, I'm very happy with, with how the length's looking. You've got a beautiful disconnection here, but the disconnection isn't too aggressive. There's still that softness in there, so for sure we're on the right tracks. Same principle on the other side. Just turn the head. For some added control, I'm going to tilt the head over. This is going to help with my finger positioning as I'm working. Again, we're using the Sublinear, the DD cream, just to help dampen the hair through, to give me a little bit of control. I have also used the Affix Prep It. It is a fantastic cutting aid. It's got a medium hold, fantastic to blow dry with, and really as you start cutting and the shape starts to dry up, you start to see the shape organically falling into place. It's really an amazing tool. Okay, this side I had my fingers pointing down towards the ground, T to the section. This side we're now going to be having our fingers pointing up towards the ceiling, still T to the section. What I mean T to the section, your section's here and you're bringing it straight out. You are literally creating a T shape. We're going to take diagonal back sections. Taking diagonal back sections, that's going to help direct the weight. So actually, by working slightly diagonal back, this is not only going to help this cut in through here, but it's also going to organically want to round on the perimeter. We're just going to go through, clip this away for some control, just to make my life a little easier. Bring the head up a little more. And keeping it T to the section. Now something a little strange is happening with her root here. There we go. So we took the initial guide around the jaw point. This is where we're going to start. And again, point, working the points of the blades. Dropping it away. Comb it down just to check how the shape's doing. Got beautiful bevel in there. I'm liking how that's looking. We'll clean it up a little bit on the next section. And again, into next. Same principle as before, just working through. So I'm super excited. We are going to finish off Orchid Shine today, which is the second iconic look from the collection. Next week we've got a great treat. We're going to show you the last look from Tech Romance. I think it's very interesting to show you guys because it really shows you the different ways that you can work with products like highlight and deep color, care products and styling to really work on the creative end of the spectrum. And then after then we're going to go straight into Gentle Energy, which is going to be beautiful. It's taking creativity with new products and new techniques into a slightly different realm. And if you haven't seen the video already, check out our Facebook and our YouTube channels because you'll see a cheeky preview on there, and you can really get a bit of an insight into where we're going for the summer. It really is a breath of fresh air. Certainly with everything that's been happening, I think there really is a demand from clients. They want to feel refreshed and rejuvenated. I think after months and months of the challenges that people have been facing, and people are definitely ready for like a rebirth of sorts, a change in their look, a change in their identity. Okay, so it's just a touch longer on this side, so I'm going to just work back through. Can you see here? There's just a little tiny bump, so I'm just going to go through, just nibble that away. And we can be a little bit more heavy-handed with this section. Still focusing on T to the section though, right? Alright, just work through here. Okay. I really love this shape. It's really, you can see there's definitely a bit of a 70s vibe going on, And for you guys that have just joined, thank you very much for joining the session. My name's Jon, I'm the Global Education Manager at Elgon. And today we're going to be doing a reinterpretation of one of the iconic looks from our Tech Romance collection, Orchid Shine. We already pre-coloured the hair. That was done last week. Check out our YouTube channel and also Facebook to see the video of the colour technique. We worked with different veils of our highlights using highlight pastel with wild orchids and also with aquamarine to create these like beautiful veils of colour. So when the light passes through the hair, you get that slightly kind of fibre optic effect to the hair, Shape's beautiful, right? I'm loving how this is looking. It's great. This is a slightly kind of fibre optic effect to the hair. Super iridescent, super delicate. And yeah, today we're bringing the whole thing to life with the haircut. Alright, so I'm really loving how that shape's looking. What do you guys think? You think it's looking pretty cool? I can see I need to do just a touch more work through this corner here, but I'm really liking, you know, where we're starting to see the shape go. You can see it's just a bit too much through here. Let's just work through here. Now we have to be super careful not to cut off the corner. And the corner is our friend with this shape. And then we're going to work on to the interior layering around the front. Remember, the front is disconnected from the back. So, you know, we have to, under no circumstances, do not be connecting the front with the back. We need to leave that completely. Now, when I'm looking at the mannequin, this side's actually not so bad. At this side, can you see, as it's starting to dry, she's got this kind of rather crazy kick going on in here. I need to neutralize that. I need to flatten that. Styling alone is not going to flatten that down. So, what I'm going to do through here is we're going to work through. We're going to just work a very, very soft layer. Diagonal forward. So the underneath, we've taken diagonal back to shift the weight back off the face. Now we're working diagonal forward to push the interior shape onto the face. We're going to work through, and we're going to take off that corner through here. I'm going to just turn her actually so you can see what I'm doing. Head is tilted for added control. And let's just take that away. And what that should do is it's going to just calm the shape down a little bit. Just help soften it. Because there's just a little too much through here. Okay, same again. Going back through. Cutting off that corner. Just drop that down. Perfect. And then same again, just through the last section. Just going back through, bring it forward, make sure we get that hair there that's dropped away, and cut off that corner. Okay, let's just bring that down. Great. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but you can see what it's done? It's just helped it hug the head a little bit stronger through here. You've got a bit more flatness happening within that interior shape. We're now going to do exactly the same process on the other side. So, remember, the underneath is being taken diagonal back to direct the weight off the face. The interior is working diagonal forward sections. That's going to bring the interior shape onto the face. So what you're going to see is it sits in through here and then kicks back on the ends of the hair. I'm going to tilt the head, diagonal forward, again, straight up. Like so, and you see the corner? It's that corner which is what's creating that roundness. So, let's go in and dust that away. Okay, I am going to just check the interior shape, just make sure that nothing strange is happening. So I've got a bit more play, I've got some more space here to play with this side, so I'm going to just take a touch more off here, and we're pretty good. There it is, see? Next section, bring it forward, over direct up onto the face, and remove that corner. Remember, this is the interior shape, so it looks like a lot of hair, but really don't panic. This is just weight that we're moving, we're shifting away. As I said many times before, sometimes if it doesn't have a purpose, if it doesn't have a function, get rid of it. You know, if the hair doesn't really know what it's doing, remove it. And what do you guys think of the shape? Can you see? Got that beautiful, beautiful curve. Got the square edge on the back. We've got that lovely roundness through here, and we've got that flatness. So we're starting to get something with this now. It's starting to come alive. All right. So now let's work through the interior of the shape. We're going to work through the circular section in the crown. This is basically going to serve as like an overhang. If you look at the picture, although the interior, the rounded area is short, you know, it's still following the round of the head. So it's not so short that, you know, we've got spikes or areas sticking out. It's still designed to follow the round of the haircut. And if you look, you're going to have the fringe, a disconnected fringe that extends into the sides. We've got that flick, then you've got the perimeter. So everything's working, you know, in a synergy. So we're going to work through. In fact, you know what we're going to do? Because I want to work on the perimeter first. I'm actually going to leave the top for now. I'm going to work on the fringe. It's going to be a little easier actually. So let's go through here first. Great. Now, something that we do need to consider the fringe area, of course, is the length. We have to be very careful not to go super crazy. With the collection, we worked with something that is curved, and it's actually sitting pretty much to the lash line. So we want to work with exactly the same principle. And also with the fringe, we're working with something that's kind of choppy. It's got a bit of a flick to it. So we don't want to go, you know, too graphic or too aggressive with the form. It's also disconnected from the side. So we're going to work totally visually with this through here, okay? I'm going to mist that through. And same principle to when I'm cutting the back. We're going to work with a center profile. This becomes really the point of the whole structure. So we're fanning from the center. This gives me a little bit more control. I'm going to comb one side away so it's totally out of the way. I can ignore it. We're going to take horizontal sections. Let's clip that away, just to ignore it. Actually, you can just leave that there. There's the outline. I want to create a visual line that connects more or less from the lash and arches into the sides. So I'm going to work through, and I'm going to work starting actually by using that length in the fringe as a bit of a guide point, and then we're going to start taking it shorter. So let's just start with the outline, so we're creating this slightly kind of bold effect, and then we're going to take it in a little tighter. Still keeping everything square, so still keeping the shoulders square, you know, keeping as much control as possible. Just turn her a little more so it's a little easier. Okay, on to the next section. Same again, over directing onto the profile. This is the profile section, so everything comes onto this point. And keeping it square. Excellent. Just drop that away. Moving on to next. Keeping it square. And also look at what I'm doing with my fingers. Look at how I'm directing my fingers here. So I'm deliberately working with elevation. Okay, on to the next. And voila. Same principle. So it is, of course, going to be too long. And it's okay, we can work on it. Like so. Okay, so we've got a good starting point here. We've got that lovely roundness. So now, let's go in and start taking it that bit shorter. Remember, we're working more or less to the lash line. So we're going to start through the center. Working with the points of the blades. I'm actually going to turn this because I realise you guys can't really see so well. That's better. Bring that down. Let's go in. Keeping it relatively irregular. You know, I'm not going too blunt. I think we can even go up a bit higher. So I do hope that you guys are finding these sessions interesting and finding them helpful. Sometimes when we're talking about creative work, sometimes it's very easy to think, maybe I'm not going to do this, or maybe it's too creative, or whatever. But we always say create, don't hate. It's always about sharing, sharing inspiration, sharing ideas. And that's truly the magic of what we do, in the industry. And each artist, each stylist is so different and take your inspiration from everywhere. Everyone is super unique, and I think that's something that should be really celebrated. I think it's something that all of us should be immensely proud of. Working in our profession, it is such an amazing art, and it really is the power of a haircut or a color. It's totally incredible. What you can do. Cool. So you can see we're starting to get that shape in. We're getting a bit of a flick through here. So we're starting to build up this structure. We're now going to do the same thing, exactly the same process on the other side. It's a little easier now. We've now really got a pretty good length to work with on the center. So we're going to work with exactly the same principle, starting from the central area. Stand on this side again. Starting from the center. We'll take our horizontal section, like so. I'm going to clip that away. There we go, so we've got the control, it's out the way. And let's go in and start doing this. Just bearing in mind, we do still need to create some form of visual connection from here. So what I'm going to do, just to cover myself, because we don't want to go too short, we're actually going to start by working with these points, with the corners, and building up into the center. This just helps give me a lot of control, a lot more control when I'm working. Because what we don't want to do is cut one side too short and then we have to recut it. It's absolutely not what we want to do. There we go. Now going back through the center. Just drop that down. A little too long here, but this is perfectly fine. Just work through and just round away that little corner through here. So it's quite it's a different way of interpreting, a classic mullet shape. It's a very strong 70s influence to this, but with, a bit more of a modern, bit more of a contemporary approach to it, It's very heavily influenced on that kind of movement, but, with a bit more of a twist, a little bit cooler. And I think, the color works beautifully. You've also got a haircut here, which is, it's working a lot with disconnections, placing weight in different zones. It's a really interesting approach to the form, All right, let's just drop that away. Just clean that down. I'm just checking to see how the bevel's sitting. I'm quite liking how the shape is. What do you guys think? Are we liking it? Hello Zoran, thank you so much for joining us. We really are international. We've got Robert here from Poland. We've got Katie from South America. Elisa watching live from Italy. Doreen from Australia. We really do have, we've got a lot of the guys here from Taiwan. Thank you so much for joining, guys. It's great to have you here with us. As we say, sharing is caring. Always great to find some inspo and some motivation. I think the wonderful thing about as negative as the whole situation has been internationally for the last few months, I really think that the positive takeout from this is that we've all of us have been touched by it, and it's not an easy situation for us, but it has really forced all of us to reflect, to recharge, to learn something new. Maybe, we see the world in a different way now. We really appreciate things that maybe we didn't before. I mean, believe it or not, I've spent so much time, traveling and being on the road, and which I love, I miss dearly, but it really actually did something to me instinctively. And I've always loved my craft. I've always been very proud of what we all do. It's an amazing industry we all work in, but it really made me kind of re-love it again. You know, I started, you know, watching a lot of videos, doing a lot of research, getting out, you know, old books from, you know, back in the day when I was training, and I think it's, you know, it's been amazing. And I think that's, you know, also why every week, you know, we're doing these videos, because we love to share. This is absolutely what we do, and you know, we can help you, you know, at least go back to the salon, even with inspiration, or, you know, feeling more confident with, you know-how on how to use the products or the tools, or at least, you know, you're just curious of how the results are. You know, it's great. All right, so I don't know if you can see the shape, but we're starting to get something now. We've got the outline, we've got that beautiful curve working in through the fringe. I'm going to work with the detailing a little bit later. Now what I want to do is I want to deconstruct this fringe area. So, you know, it's nice, but it's really too rounded at the moment. So, we're going to go through. We're going to take a vertical section. We're going to cut this shorter underneath, because this will create space for that final crown area. We're going to go through, and we're going to just dust away. And I think what we will do, let's have a look. Yeah, we're going to work ever so slightly rounded. So we're going to work through, standing from the side of the head, straight up, allowing the length to fall away, and we're just going to loosen out that fringe area. Let's cut that off. What this is going to do, it's going to preserve the length here, but it just very simply just creates these like beautiful little internal layers. So it just frees up the texture. Same again, so we're working horizontally, over direct, straight up, watching my body positioning. Remove some of that corner. Hi Kay, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a privilege to have Kay here. She was one of my greatest career mentors. And yeah, it always makes you feel a little bit nervous having Kay here. No, it doesn't really. It is very sweet. So just now working through, rounding off the corner, still working with over direction, right? Because, you know, we've worked with over direction through here. We're working with a corner here. We've also worked with over direction here to create a corner through here. We're now working with over direction through the interior. So there's a lot of over direction happening within this haircut. The primary reason for that is to really create this kind of deconstructed shape, but yet still soft, and deconstructed in the sense that, you know, it's not aggressive, it's very soft, it's still fitting into the concept of tech romance. All right, let's have a look. You see how that shape now, it's just tucking in. If you compare it to this side where it's sitting in pretty rounded through here, we're going to, we want to alleviate that. So, same principle as before. This side I'm pulling, this side I'm pushing. Pull and push. Okay. Let's have a look at that angle. There we go. We're just dusting away that corner. Same again, bringing everything up. I'm not looking for hair to cut off. It's still controlled. We're just working within the form, you know. Let's have a look. Yeah, this is looking good. What do you guys think? Are we liking where we're starting to go with the shape? I think it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. All right, let's now move on to the very last section, this interior circular section through the crown. So if we look, oh great, now I'm seeing all the love hearts. Okay, people do like it, that's good. Now, look at this, how cool is this? So I'm releasing that interior shape. This is like this magical veil. I totally love it. If I had my way, I would probably leave it, but that's not fitting to the collection. So we're gonna work with it. Now we have to be super careful not to cut this too short, right? Because we want that the flatness. We want some roundness through the interior of the shape. We definitely don't want it to look super short or super mallety. That has to be that beautiful roundness. And you can actually see through the back. Look at this shape. How interesting is this? We've cut away the underneath, so it creates this really beautiful flatness. Now, looking at the picture, if you look, it's almost, it does have that flatness, but it's ever so slightly stacked. So this is what the principle that we're going to work with, is we're going to stack inside the crown area, okay? So we're going to subdivide the crown. Remember, the underneath is all cut, so I'm really not panicking too much about this underneath area. We're going to subdivide it through the center. Ignore the front, we're just going to comb that all forward. Totally forget about it. I'm going to start working through the crown. Now, there's a few ways we can approach this depending on what kind of effect we're looking for. I'm going to work a little bit more true, I think, to the collection. So we're going to work ever so slightly rounded. So look, can you see how short the underneath area is? How short that disconnection is? So for sure, we don't want to be following that guide. We want to ignore it. That's going to, by having the underneath shorter, it creates space for the top to sit in. So I'm going to go through, and we're going to start just by rounding off the shape. This is probably going to be too long, yeah? But I just want to be on the safe side. We're going to start with something that's a little bit more rounded. And we're just going to assess to see what it's doing. Let's just clip that away so you guys can see. And if this is maybe your first time watching how I cut, this is absolutely how I would work. So I cut the section. Sometimes, we create a step by step, and it's very, okay, bang, you cut that square, you cut that rounded, you cut that inverted. But, step by step, of course, the technique is paramount. But it's really serving as an inspiration, and it's a springboard. We also need to look at the hair that we're working on. So, for a hair like this, I have to really gauge it. Something that I will always do, and it's one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned, particularly working with layering or graduation, is so important. Is check as you go. So cut a section, drop it down, see what's going on with the shape. Don't go into autopilot and start moving on into the next sections until you feel really confident with where you're going. It's so important. So if you look, I've just combed it down. Maybe you can't see it so well on the camera, but there's quite a nice bit of roundness to it, but I think it's maybe a bit too much. I want to take it a little shorter. But for sure, I think that a rounded effect is working really nicely on this hair. So let's play with that. So let's go back through, same principle. I'm going to take it shorter. I'm going to bring it back so I'm not too close to the camera. There we go. All right, and let's be a little bit more aggressive. So if you guys have just joined, thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. This is our fourth Facebook Live. I can't believe it's been 4 already. It's our 4th Facebook Live. Welcome to the new normal of education in our industry. And my name is Jon. I'm the International Education Manager. And we are going through Orchid Shine, which is the second iconic look from Tech Romance. This is from our collection that we launched in January for the spring. And last week we did a video where I presented the color of the technique. So if you haven't seen it and you're curious with the formula and what we did, do check out our Facebook and our Connect by Elgon YouTube channel. This is actually where all of the videos are being uploaded, so you can keep on top of it. And next week we're also going to be working on one of the last iconic looks from Tech Romance, Blorange. Totally beautiful color and totally on trend. So we thought it's really appropriate I think it's a nice way to close off Tech Romance. And and then straight after that, we're going to be going into Gentle Energy, which is really a breath of fresh air for the summer. Really fresh, beautiful blondes, super wearable, beautiful commercial hair. Actually commercial is not the right word, it's salon friendly, really beautiful hair. I'm so excited to be sharing with you guys the techniques. It was really important for us when we work, whenever we work on the collection, it's always super important that the techniques are, easy but effective. They're accessible. So what I mean is that you're able to put your own stamp and your own mark on it. And it also, also shows you the best in class of how we work with our product portfolio. And particularly, for Tech Romance, it was really about, our amazing iconic product, Eyelight. Totally, reborn, let's say, for the modern salon, beautiful colours. And you can learn more about it in our video from last week and the week before. And and moving on into Gentle Energy, we've got some amazing new products and tools that will be very helpful for your salons. I think particularly as your salons are starting to reopen, so clients are definitely wanting fresh hair, and maybe they're a bit more open to a change. So that was perfect. All right, so I'm much happier now we've taken in that length a bit more. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm quite liking how this is sitting. I'm loving that. Can you see it? You've got the roundness, and then into flat, square, and then back up into round again. I'm really quite liking how this shape's starting to come on. All right, so we're now going to just move into the last section, and then we're going to just give this a bit of a polish. So we're going to dry it through, and then later on I will show you the final result. Now what we want to do is connect the front with the back. So we're going to take a central profile section, keeping it pretty fine to start with. You can see we've got the fringe, so this is pretty cool. Let's have a look. Not so sure at the moment if I really want to connect with the fringe. I'm thinking we're going to leave it slightly disconnected. I love the idea of having, not necessarily overhang on the perimeter, but these kind of diffusion of different lengths working within the structure. Nevertheless, though, we do need to connect with the crown. And if you look, can you see where we've rounded the shape? We've got this beautiful inversion. So we've got this kind of short to long thing going on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work square. By working square, it's going to build up some corners on the head, so it's going to create a really interesting form. Okay. And yes, I am going to connect it with the fringe, because there's just this tiny corner, it's not really doing anything. And remember my motto, if it doesn't have a purpose, get rid. You can use that for so many things in life, right? All right, just moving on to the next one. Over directing into the center. This is really very important. Now, over direction can be your friend. Removing the corner. And then let's just do one final check. There's probably hardly anything to come off here, but it's always good to be safe rather than sorry. There we go. All right, let's just drop that down. Okay. Yeah, it's quite a nice, there's a nice little veil going on here. What do you guys think? You see that lovely diffusion, and then you're seeing the roundness in the shape, then there's something quite cool happening here. All right, let's just move on to the last side. Same principle, we're going to push. So one side we pull, this side we are going to push. Let's just bring this back so you've got a better view. There we go. All right. It feels so satisfying getting rid of all of that excess length. Now connecting through to the fringe. Just remove that corner. There's a guide underneath. Get rid of that. Moving on to the last section. There we go. Okay. So let's just give this a comb through and just see how it's doing. Put down the scissors so we don't cut anything else. You know, sometimes that can be quite tempting, right? You know, you're looking at the shape and you think, oh, maybe, that bit there. Sometimes it's best to just quit when you're ahead, you know? Just leave it, let the shape do its magic. So, okay, this is the basic structure completed. I think it's quite nice. Let me know what you guys think. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to add them into the comments. After the video, we'll go through and I will answer as many of your questions for you as possible. Yeah, and for details on the color technique, do check out our Connect by Elgon YouTube channel. This will show you how we did the color. So we now I've just worked with some of the prep it from a fix. It's packed full of Sawyer Active complex. So it's a particular type of complex that works like a cosmetic ingredient. So not only does it give the hair hold, but it's also going to have a bit of cosmetic property to it. And we're now just going to work just drying it through. The hair is kind of drying up kind of nicely, so I'm not really worrying too much. Just working with the fingers. Just to kind of bring out some more of the texture within the shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just very roughly polish this using a Denman, just to create a bit more of a flatness to the shape. In the original collection, we actually went in and used like a tongue to create some movement within the form. Alright, so let's go through with the Denman. We'll take off the nozzle. And, you know, although we're drying it through, we're also assessing the shape as we're drying, you know, just to see if there's any elements that I need to work on, or anything that I need to, I need to refine or refresh. And I'm really working with the shape as is, so I'm letting the haircut do the work for me. And what do you guys think of the color? Can you see how it's beginning to come through as it's drying the shape? It's beautiful. And I think that the lovely thing about the highlight is also the shine factor from the product. You know, thanks to the technology that we use in it, the shine is absolutely incredible. Alright, it's great having my my camera here. It works like my mirror. It's always very challenging trying to do these things when you don't have a mirror in front of you. So can you see how that shape is tucking in to the head? You've got the squareness. You can see the front is already starting to kick back a little, and you've got that beautiful flatness through here. I love it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just work a little bit with a rounded brush, just to refine the styling, just get it sitting in a bit more on the edges, just get it a bit more polished. And you can see we're going to just work a bit more around the front, just to detail it. That shine is amazing though, right? Fabulous. Yeah, thank you, Doreen. All right, so just working through. Once I've kind of smoothed the bulk of the shape, this is where we're gonna now start going in, just refining it with the rounded brush. I use kind of like a bit of a smaller brush. And we're just gonna really, I'm focusing kind of on the ends. I'm not necessarily focusing on the root area, right? Keeping it flat, really going in for that slightly kind of 70s vibe. Just working with it, just on the ends, directing the weight of the shape. And you can see by turning down. So I'm always keeping the root area flat. Gonna work just through the center. I'm being very careful not to go too crazy with this. But can you see how the shape is starting to come alive now? Something's starting to happen here. Just work with the interior. With just a bit of a twist. Keeping that quite loose. Cool. And then we're going to do exactly the same principle on the other side. A little bit more challenging because unfortunately I'm not ambidextrous. I really wished I was. It's something I wished I had embraced. Great. I just love the feel of the shape, you know? It kind of has a slightly kind of LA 70s feel to it. I absolutely love it. It's really beautiful. All right, working through. Being very careful though, not to put a flick into the back. So I want to keep the back area quite square still. So this is also very important. Now we're going to go through, just twist very loosely. I'm not trying to create a wave. I just want to create some interior, some interior movement without going, berserk. Just pick up that air from under here. There we go. All right, now we're just going to work through the back. Same principle. I'm keeping the sections quite big because I don't want it to be like super manicured. You want to work with the form. So I'm just going to work through. I am going to just put a bit of a twist through the top. Like so. Bring that down. There we go. Same through here. So again, we're just using the nozzle. I've lowered the heat. I've actually got it on cool right now. We're now just using the nozzle of the dryer with the brush to create that kind of stepped effect, to create that flatness with the back. There we go. Same through here. Okay, so I'm just going to now very quickly refine what we have here, and then then we're done. I hope you guys are liking the shape. So all I'm going to do very, very quickly is I'm just going to work through these edges. Just going to very, very lightly refine it because it's just a touch too blocky there. So it's just going to just texturize the tips out. I'm not going crazy, just working with the form that I have. It's also dead important just to make sure that you're working, you're working with the angle of the shape. You're not going in and creating a new shape. So, elevating up Now I'm working quite deep, but I'm not cutting off, you know, huge amounts of hair. I'm working with the form that I have. Same through here, it's a bit too boxy in through the fringe, so we're going to work for the interior. Again, look what we're doing. I'm going in, it's almost like a barcode. You know, we're just working in, we're going in quite deep, but we're not cutting out any, you know, chunks or blocks of hair. We're just working with what we've got. We're just releasing that interior texture. So same again, going through, maybe a little faster as we come to the end. All right, this is a bit too boxy here, so let's just remove some of this weight. Okay. And also be very careful, there's disconnections in here, so be very, very, very careful not to start trying to connect your disconnections, because if you start doing that, you're actually going to create a whole new structure, a whole new haircut. We don't want to be doing that. You know, so, you know, work with what you have. You know, don't be trying to create something new or something that doesn't exist. Here I'm going to be a lot more aggressive, just to open out that shape. And we're going to just work a little bit more through the back, and we're done. Just want to loosen this up. Look how heavy this is. The mannequins are always, they're so much more thick and unforgiving compared to normal hair, right? Nightmare. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to do this one last section, and then we are going to dress it. Just do a quick visual check. Yeah, I'm liking it. What do you guys think? Are you liking the shape? Definitely got a beautiful 70s vibe to it. All right, so we're now going to just finish this off with a little bit of Pump It. Pump It is a dry texturizer. It's perfect just for getting, you know, a little bit of a drier texture through the interior. And it smells amazing. It's very nice because, you know, with the technology inside of these products, even when you rinse the product out, if you've not used it before, when you rinse out the product, you get this like really, it feels like really cosmetic. It always feels like you've put like a little treatment or a moisturizer through your hair. Really, really nice. Okay, so we've used the Pump It, we used Prep It as a cutting aid. I'm now going to use one of my heroes, which is Shine It. It's got 0 hold, but it creates this like diamond-like effect on the hair. The shine is absolutely amazing. And the nice thing is you can keep layering on the product, and it's never going to be you know, greasy or heavy or oily. All right, and then we're going to just finish it in with our last product, which is 101 Hairspray, Fix It. And this is like our military grade hairspray. But even though I say that, it is the strongest hold hairspray we have. It's still workable. You know, you can still work with it, you can brush it out. So it makes it a fantastic product if you're doing, you know, weddings or proms or, you know, anything like that. Okay, so I think that is us done. So I am going to work a little bit more later on. So just a little more work with the styling. So do check in the comments. I will be putting the photo in there, and also check the Elgon official Facebook page and Instagram page, because it will be in the story. I want to say a massive thank you for joining us. I really hope that it was informative. And yeah, do check out our Facebook and our Instagram. Also, don't forget to check out our Connect by Elgon YouTube channel. This should be your real go-to for information and support. And yeah, stay safe, and I hope to catch you same time, same place next week. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and God bless. Bye.